Hey, what's going on, you guys? Your boy B Mahari here, representing MehariNation Sports Podcast. Welcome to episode 22 of Basketball Conversations. Much love to the entire LDBC and the basketball community. You understand what I'm saying? We're still stuck on quarantine, though, guys, but we're gonna keep on pushing with or without basketball going on. You know what I mean? But we're gonna discuss about episodes 3 and 4 of the ESPN documentary called "The Last Dance." You know what I mean? We've already been 4 episodes in, and they've been all epic and been classic episodes to watch, guys. A lot of things a lot of things to learn about as you're watching these episodes. All right, but last Sunday we got to learn about the bad boy Piston rivalries and the Bulls during the late 80s and early 90s that basically were physical and personal as it gets. Probably one of the most confrontational, most personal rivalries since the Celtics and the Lakers. Okay. And there's been a lot of stuff about Jordan and Pippen's animosity against Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, which is completely understandable of how those two teams still don't like each other to this very, very day. Michael Jordan even said on the record, say, you know, as my main Quest X boxing says, I just came here to say Draymond Green is the greatest nut puncher of all time. Yeah, I know. Leave it to you, Quest X, to leave out some stuff like that, though, man. As I see my brother LB in the building. What's going on, LB? How you doing, my brother? How y'all doing? So, I kind of, got a lot of good perception about how those two teams hate each other. Now, I've already known a lot of the stuff that those two teams, had for one another over the years. You know what I mean? From the times that when the Pistons inflicted Jordan rules, basically, hurt Michael and hurt Scotty in every way possible. But, this whole notion that people need to be sorry for Isaiah Thomas is ridiculous because, listen, Isaiah Thomas brought all this on himself because he was so obsessed of beating Michael Jordan and basically being the best player that he could be that, in a sense, he cheap shot at people and he stabbed a lot of people in the back. And there's still a lot of people in NBA circles that don't respect him for it. And I can't blame him for that. All right. So I'm going to break this down in a couple of ways. Okay. I wanted to let you guys understand this. The reason why Isaiah Thomas held this personal animosity against Michael Jordan is a couple of reasons. Number one of Isaiah's nephews was wearing a Michael Jordan jersey, and he basically told him, take that jersey off, take it off. And from that point forward, Isaiah Thomas held that kind of animosity to Jordan because the second point is that Isaiah Thomas is originally from Chicago, from the West Side, okay? And you could look at Isaiah as one of Chicago's, great athletes, okay? Originally from Chicago, all right? And he wanted to go to the Chicago Bulls when he came out of the NBA draft in 1981, but he got drafted at the Pistons, okay? And the minute that Michael Jordan got drafted by the Bulls in 1984 and basically took the city by storm, it was basically Michael's city from that point forward. He was basically the king of Chicago. And Isaiah Thomas held that against him. You know what I mean? As I see Adrian Barbie in the chat there, what's going on? And the lovely Miss Boxing there. Hey, Miss Boxing. Mwah. And Mr. QuestX says, personally, I miss the era of the Pistons and Bulls. No best friends. No more buddy crap. Just raw competition fury. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. But this is my point there, guys. Here's my point, okay? The Pistons and the Bulls hate each other, okay? And because of those things that I talked about, Isaiah Thomas had this huge hatred against Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls that he wanted to beat them at all costs, okay? And when the Pistons started assembling their team together, okay? When they started assembling their team together, you know what I mean? They played their physical brand of basketball, which is basically, play physical, getting inside their opponent's head, hard foul them, and get them out of their game. I see my main man, Frank Costin, foremost in the building. What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight, man? Much love to you, bro. So, yeah. So then this is where I really started to shake my head at what Isaiah Thomas keep talking about. What Isaiah talked about the time when they basically walked off the floor after they got swept in the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals. He basically said, listen, we didn't need to shake their hands because the Celtics did the same thing in 1988 because Bird and the Celtics walked off the floor when we beat them, and that was okay. All right, and then Isaiah basically kind of said, like, listen, if we had to do it over again, we could have said, hey, good luck to you and all that, shake hands and all that stuff. But he basically said, like, listen, when we walked off the floor, you just walked off the floor after you lost. And Michael Jordan looked at that and saw it as absolute bullshit because Michael Jordan shook hands with the Pistons every time they lost in 88, in 89, and 1990. That is entirely debunked. And also the other thing that Isaiah did not even mention too is that during the times when the Pistons had to go through the Celtics to get to the NBA Finals, y'all got to remember this. The Pistons did the same roughhouse tactics. Bill Laimbeer was tackling Larry Bird every single time he tried to dove down to the basket, which included the infamous incident in Game 3 in the Pontiac Silverdome, where basically Bird was basically on the right block and he was being guarded by Rahman as he was trying to go up for the pump fake to try to go at Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer tackled him in midair and then basically took him down to the ground. Bird got upset and basically threw a right hand, basically on a ground and pound type of right hand, okay? And then basically when they were basically separated, Larry Bird took the basketball and threw it at Bill Laimbeer. All right? Listen, the point is this, though, man. The Pistons built their reputation off of the physical play. All right? And remember, McHale was also dealing with a broken foot, during that 87 run to the finals their year, okay? And Bill Laimbeer, every single time that he went up against Kevin McHale down on the block, he would step on his foot to try to get him off of his game or to try to get him out of the game. All right, some of the most dirtiest things that you could imagine, the Pistons did it. Okay, grapple, illegal screens, hard fouls. They would clothesline you in midair. They did all that. You know why? Because they wanted to be where the Celtics and the Lakers were at that time. That's all there was. All right. So the bottom line is this, though, guys, as I get my water in. Listen, the Pistons built their reputation off of roughhouse physical play. The difference is they were successful in perfecting that style, and they won in the process. The bottom line is this, though, guys. What we all have to understand is this. As I see my beautiful queen, Tay Brown, in the building, she said, like, you've been bad. Yeah, that's right. You know what? You know what I do, Tay. You know what I do. You know what I'm saying? Gotta keep you in line. But I know you still. You still got some for me. I'm just joking. But yeah, listen. The Pistons built their reputation on dirty play and roughhouse tactics. The differences between the Heat and the Knicks during the 90s that played the same kind of way is that the Pistons were successful at it because they had athletes that they could do it. All right? By the time the Knicks and the Heat and the Hornets were basically playing that familiar style, the league was cracking down on that stuff. All right? And by that time, there was no way you could have gotten away with it. Okay? So, here's my point, though, guys. Here's my point. Isaiah Thomas knew what he was doing. Isaiah Thomas understood the implications of what he was doing. There's no denying that, okay? And when he talked about how, and it's another thing, though, too. He was on, I think he was on sort of podcast on Fox Sports. He was trying to talk about, I still don't understand why, I was kicked off of the Dream Team. And when the Bulls beat us in 91, we were basically old and worn out. And I'm like, really? Really? Isaiah, come on, bro. You know that's debunked, okay? And Tay Brown says, like, the nerve of you pulling out the belt on me. She said, you was going to feel that heat when I get through with you. Come on, Tay. You know you love that. You know you love that. You love it when the heat is on. But back to my point there, as I got distracted by the lovely Tay Brown, who makes the best mac and cheese in the business. Listen, the Pistons in 91 were still a team that was still in their peak. As I pull up once again the basketball reference sheet of how the Pistons were, they finished fit with 50 wins, okay, and we're second in the Central Division. All right. Now we will have to consider the fact that Isaiah Thomas missed almost a half of the season off of wrist surgery. Okay, but listen, Isaiah Thomas was 29. Okay, Joe Dumars was 27. Dennis Rodman was 29. Okay, the only guys that were basically in their mid 30s at that time were Bill Laimbeer, who was 33, Vinny Johnson was 34, and James Edwards was 35. And don't forget, Mark Aguirre was still in his peak. He was only 31 years old, averaging 14 points per game. And John Sally was 26. Okay, no, Isaiah, you're totally wrong. The truth of the matter is that you got your butt kicked because the Bulls were much more of a mentally tougher team, and they learned how to play through your rough tactics. So by the time it was 1991, the Bulls figured you guys out. Pippen was at his peak, all right, even though he didn't make the All-Star team in 1991. Jordan was obviously at his peak, all right. So by that time, the entire Bulls roster was playing through that championship killer mindset. There was nothing that the Pistons could have done to beating them in 1991. And the Pistons knew that. They knew in their heart of hearts that the Bulls were just a far better team. Only Joe Dumars and Dennis Rodman and even John Sal to a certain extent were the only ones that could admit to that. Okay? Unfortunately, Isaiah Thomas still doesn't want to get that kind of credit. And also Bill Laimbeer is still a hater too, because I heard that he basically said that, LeBron James is the best player of all time. Listen, Bill Laimbeer, that's just hate coming out of you, homie. That's all hate coming out of you, all right? Because you know for a fact, that Michael Jordan is the best player of your era. But the fact is, they beat you and made you look mortal, that you just couldn't suck up your pride and shake their hand. And that's what really defined their legacy, okay? The way that they walked off the court. Listen, if you were to sucked up your pride and shook their hand, then you know what? This would have been all averted. But you didn't. But you guys were basically so stubborn to do it that basically you put the nail in the coffin of your legacy of the bad boy Pistons. All right. This is why Isaiah Thomas was kicked off of the Dream Team. Nobody wanted to play with this guy. Magic didn't want to play with him because don't forget, guys, there's a one thing you also have to remember, okay? There was rumors going around during the time when Magic Johnson was basically going through his HIV issues, okay, that Isaiah Thomas was spreading rumors about Magic Johnson's sexuality, okay? Now, what does it say if what he said is true or not? But when you spreading those kind of rumors out there, listen, you jeopardize your friendship with Magic Johnson over some BS, all right? And plus, Larry Bird did not like Isaiah Thomas either because remember, after they lost in '87 to the Celtics, Dennis Rodman made some comments about Larry Bird, and Isaiah Thomas stood by Dennis Rodman. All right, so that right there was already another block that basically built the blocks and built the bad case against Isaiah Thomas. All right, Scottie Pippen wasn't going to play with you. All right, Karl Malone did not want to play with you. All right, so listen, man, you got to understand, Isaiah. You built this reputation on yourself. So we don't listen. For everybody in the chat, I want you all to understand. All right. Yep, Tay Brown, you too. Much love, sisters. You stay safe out there. And also, when you come back, when this whole thing's said and done, make me a nice plate of mac and cheese, though, too. I like it nice and fresh. Hot, fresh, ready to go. You know what I mean? I love that. That's right. I love that. Especially when you make it. It's fire. Yeah, but seriously, much love, Tay Brown, and then also Miss Boxing too. Yeah, much love to you, Miss Boxing, Miss Terrence Crawford, defender. Mwah. But let me get back to my point here, guys. Let me get back here to my point. Listen, Isaiah Thomas built a bad reputation for himself. By the time it was time to select the Dream Team, there was too many players out there that did not want to play with Isaiah Thomas. All right? It's not an accident why John Stockton was picked over Isaiah Thomas. Even after John Stockton chose Isaiah Thomas to be with them in the Hall of Fame, because John Stockton knew that Isaiah Thomas should have been on the team. But listen, when you built a reputation like Isaiah Thomas did of being a backstabbing prick, all right, a lot of players are going to look at you at a bad light. That's just the facts of the matter. If you look back at Isaiah Thomas's whole time after the championship years, nothing but controversy everywhere he's been. Even through the fist fight that he had with Bill Laimbeer in '93, resulted in his broken hand. Okay, the Achilles tear injury in '94. Okay, but also he became an executive for the Raptors. Didn't do much with it. And then when he was a commentator for NBC, he gave all the praise to Michael Jordan when he was a commentator. All right, he was a horrible coach for the Indiana Pacers, and he was a beyond horrible executive for the New York Knicks. Everywhere Isaiah's been, he leaves in controversy. When you look at all those things, despite the fact of his accomplishments and how great of a player he was, at some point in time, all right, at some point in time, you had to ask yourself, what is the common denominator here? Okay, is it the one guy that basically tries to play these politics behind the scenes or endorsing the type of brand of basketball that's basically unattractive to to most players, and also that players that will not take kindly to that, or is it basically Isaiah Thomas himself? I don't know. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and think about that. Okay, listen, I'm glad that the episodes really highlighted the tension between those two guys, and I didn't like how the media tried to still, you know, try to make it seem like Isaiah is still being a victim by not being the dream team. Bro, I'm not buying into that. And I know there's going to be a lot of reporters that feel the same way that I feel, that Isaiah did this to himself. He is not a victim of this at all. It doesn't matter what he accomplished in his career. When you built the kind of reputation that you obtained in your playing career, it will follow you for life. This will be part of your legacy. All right. And I hate to say that because Isaiah Thomas is one of the great players. He's probably one of the one or two greatest point guards in the game. As we see Skinny Kinney say this, he said, "My issue after 30 years is what the hell does it matter now? Most of the times, then teams walked off. Then, well, there's the thing though, bro. When you get beat in the playoffs, listen, it doesn't matter how bad you may dislike the opponent. You still have to show sportsmanship at the end of the day. Michael still showed sportsmanship to the Pistons, even when they lost to them in '88 and '89 and 1990. But when the Pistons didn't, when the Pistons, wait a minute, he said, you're telling lies. I'm older than you. Rod Thorne was the first. You say you're telling lies. I'm older than you. Rod Thorne, Jordan's first GM, put those scenes together with the expression of marching orders of no Isaiah. Thorne did his job, bro. Listen, you're missing the point, though, bro. I'm gonna tell you this though. You're missing the point. Okay, my point is this. Okay, listen. Isaiah Thomas built his reputation and built this kind of attitude like that. Okay, you got to understand where things were at that time. All right. There's no doubt Isaiah Thomas belonged on the dream team. I definitely, I'm not arguing that. But when you built this kind of attitude and this kind of reputation throughout your playing career, players are gonna have are gonna look at you the wrong way. They're gonna look at you very, very, very suspiciously. Okay, and when you basically built all that reputation into one, how are you gonna get guys to play with you? You tell me, how are you gonna get guys to play with you? That doesn't make any sense at all. And this notion that you're saying that Rod Thorne, basically, basically had his marching orders not to put Isaiah together. Bro, stop. Stop. That's another lie that basically got debunked too. All right. Said. Now let me tell you this though too. I'm very glad that now the documentary is basically piecing together why the Bulls and the Pistons basically hated each other. And QuestX basically said Isaiah's ego was his biggest Achilles heel. It was, man. I definitely agree. 100%. All right. Listen, Isaiah's ego was his downfall. And that's what basically killed his chances. Like I said, everywhere he's been, nothing but controversy coming out of him. All right. If you don't know Isaiah Thomas, if you don't know the man, how he moves and how he conducts himself, you can get lost. What's up, Bakari King? How you doing, my brother? But yeah, when you don't know how the man moves, you could get fooled by some of the things he says. Because remember, over the years, he said that Michael Jordan was the greatest player that he played when he was a television commentator. Then, as time went on, he said that Kareem was the best player he ever played. But at that time, when Isaiah beat the Lakers in '89, the Lakers were basically an old team by that point. And then now he comes around and says that now LeBron James is the best player of all time. I mean, come on, bro. Isaiah Thomas can be truthful about some of the things he talks about, but then sometimes he's also can be full of shit on some of the things he said. And this week, I'm glad that it's basically the documentary can ran because it just basically proves my point about Isaiah Thomas. He's not truthful. All right. He comes across as basically as a bitter person that still doesn't believe that he doesn't get the respect that he's owed. Because listen, I love Isaiah Thomas. I love his passion. I love his grit. Okay, and he's one of the best leaders, in NBA history. He carried the Pistons team to 2 championships. That's a fact. And I'm not disputing the fact that he doesn't belong to the Dream Team. He definitely does. But again, when you built the reputation that he built for himself throughout his entire playing career, how are you going to get players to side with you? All right. If he would have been better at mitigating those relationships, maybe he would have had a chance. But Isaiah did it to himself. And now Skinny Kenny says the NBA got Isaiah his gold medal at the next games as payback. The Dream Team openly said that Jordan told Thorne no Isaiah on the Dream Team. It's a major part of the documentary. Again, bro, listen. I watched the same Dream Team documentary as you. Jordan didn't need to say that. All right, he didn't need to say that because they already knew about Isaiah's reputation and the personal rivalry between the two. He didn't need to say that. So again, that there right there is also debunked. All right. I told you the original point about why Isaiah got kicked off of the Dream Team is because of the reputation he basically put together. If you could say if basically that what you're telling me, then I agree with that. But basically, you're trying to throw something about the administration telling them, "Oh, we need to get rid of Isaiah off the team." It's nonsense. You really think that those guys on the USA committee were going to maybe follow to a T by what Michael Jordan wanted them to do? No, they were basically going through the same process. And it's unfair as it seems, but again, Isaiah did this to himself. Nobody else did. Nobody said like, "Oh, we need to get this guy off the team because he did that." Okay, Isaiah did this to himself. And when you build the reputation that he built, it basically comes across as a very bitter man. That's just the facts of the matter. That's what I'm telling y'all. All right. So now that's out the way here. Now that's out the way. All right. I'm glad that all these things are coming across here, okay? And it's basically, illustrating how bad Isaiah Thomas looks out there because every time he speaks now at this point, it just makes him even look worse every single time. And again, I love the Pistons back in the day. I think the Pistons were probably one of the best teams in the 80s, and they were a major part of how great the 80s were, all right? They basically beat both the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Bulls to win their first championship. That right there is you get ultimate respect for that. All right, because they did it their way and they won because of it. But in the process, their legacies and their reputations got tarnished to a certain extent. All right, that's just the truth of the matter. But yeah, I think so far this documentary has really been well done to a certain extent. And also, I want to talk about the whole Pippen situation there too while we're still on here, okay? Here's the thing, though, about the Pippen situation, okay? Pippen messed up. Pippen should have played his cards right and probably requested more money when he was basically on close to becoming a free agent in 1990, okay? He signed a 7-year, $18 million deal. When you look at the arithmetics of how Scottie Pippen's contract was as the years went by. Listen, he was getting paid very low, all right, to the caliber of what he should have been paid for. But that's his own fault. I'm going to keep telling you this every time. I'm going to keep telling you this every time. Pippen messed up when he made the mistake of signing that contract because he was worried about his family and his basically his two other siblings that was basically stuck in wheelchairs on the first two episodes. And so Michael was frustrated because he had to basically carry the load for at least 35 games until Pippen came back from the surgery. Okay. And Pippen, as bitter he could be about the whole money situation, he did this to himself. He signed a bad contract that basically was going to get him underpaid. All right. If he would have switched, if he would have done things over again, he would have forced the management to pay him a bigger contract. All right. And Jerry Weinstein basically told him, listen, you don't want to sign this contract because then it's going to be null and void. It's going to be a very bad deal. But Pippen was held content. Like, listen, I want security. I want the contract. And so Ryan Short says, okay, I'll let you have the contract, but don't ask me ever again about your contract. Even he told him that. He told him that. And bro, Pippen, I don't understand why Pippen was basically, bitter about it. Like, I do understand why he was bitter because he should have been paid more than what his value was. But bro, you signed the contract. Nobody held a gun to your head and said, sign the damn contract. No, you signed the contract by yourself. It was basically by your own doing. All right. It was your own doing of signing that contract. And as a result, you got paid less than what your star value deserves. Now, keep this in mind, okay? Keep this in mind, all right? The point I'm trying to tell y'all is this. When Michael Jordan was a free agent in 96, he was going to sign with the New York Knicks for a lot of money, okay? I think it was going to be around, was it 23, 24 million, something like that? I don't know. Probably one of the two. Listen, David Falk, who was Jordan's super agent at the time, listen, he called management and said, listen, the Knicks are offering this huge money to us. You got 1 hour to match the deal or we're gone. And so Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause said, okay, we'll give you 1 year, $30 million. That's the way you do business. My point is, you have to force management to pay the money that your basically your star value is. Pippen did not do that. Jordan did. And so when Pippen, basically talked about, hey, I'm tired of, of this and that, not getting paid to what I deserve. And I hated Jerry for it. 25 million. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you, Frank, and foremost. 25 million. Listen, Jordan did his part because remember, Michael was also underpaid too. All right. He was also going to get the money from endorsements because endorsements is all that. But here's the thing. Pippen was not going to get any of those endorsements though, bro, because he just did not have the personality. He didn't have the look to be endorsable. That's not his fault. That's just how it is. That's basically how it is. But Pippen didn't play his cards right, and he could have gotten way more money way back then before 98. That's his own doing, and that's his own fault. All right. So at the end of the day, Pippen knew what he was getting himself into when he signed that contract extension in 1990, and he knew how bad of a contract it was by the time it was basically 94. All right. Even before then, because he was basically the sixth highest paid player on the Bulls roster. All right. How can you do that to yourself, Pippen? And it's not the first time he's been bad with money. He's been filed for bankruptcy because of bad business deals, and he had a financial advisor that basically was taking money out of his own bank account. So you look at yourself in the mirror, though, Pippen, and you have to say to yourself, what's the barometer here? Is it the one guy that doesn't really look at the rip the ticks or see the money value of any contracts, or basically was this Pippen himself signing a bad deal? I mean, come on, man. I mean, how do you justify signing a bad deal and then basically you got mad about it years later? Like, bro, that's your own fault. Now, I do get that Jerry Krause was being a dick to you and basically putting you in trade rumors. That didn't make any sense. Because if you're trading your second best player on your team basically for nothing, then basically that was just a bad move there, and Pippen had every right to basically rip Krause for it. But most of the stuff there, I can't blame Krause for that bad deal that Pippen signed, because he signed it by his own hand. He did this to himself. Nobody else did. So it is what it is. So I'm gonna tell you this though too. All right. Michael Jordan was basically had to carry the team by himself, and he had to lean into to Dennis Rodman to basically, to stir the ship before before basically Pippen came back. So Skinny Kenny says Mike and Phil or Jerry could have gotten Pippen out of that contract. They really didn't give a crap about him. Pippen could have walked out and went to Europe, but he didn't have the nerve. Well, you know what though? I'll tell you what though. If he wanted to, he would have lost a lot more money out of it, because if Pippen continued to held out, he was going to get fined by the Bulls organization, and he was going to lose a lot more money out of it. All right. So yeah, he could have. Listen, Pippen knew about this. He didn't. He knew he couldn't held out because the Bulls had more leverage than him. All right. And listen, it's not on Phil Jackson's fault. Okay. Phil Jackson didn't make him sign that contract. Nobody did. Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause told him, listen, don't sign this contract. But Pippen signed the contract by his own doing. Sure, they could have basically given him a bit more of a raise on his contract, but the Bulls organization was not an organization that was going to give you raise on your contracts. Pippen knew about this, and he still signed it. I mean, listen, half of it is the organization's fault for giving a bad contract. That I agree with. But at the same time, listen, Pippen signed the contract. That's his own doing. That's his own fault. Let's be real about this. Pippen basically signed a bad contract that was basically, you know, null and void. It was a horrible contract. Pippen today would have just forced a trade by faking hurt every year until they dealt him. Bro, no, that would not work. Listen, he was going to get fined by the Bulls organization, and he was going to lose more money. That's stupid. He's not stupid. Pippen would not do that. That's dumb. Bro, that what you said right there, Skinny Kenny, dude, that's dumb. That's a dumb argument. Because the organization could have kept finding him every single time. That literally does not make any sense. How can you sit there and say fake hurt every time and then basically, forcing to trade you? Bro, he would have gotten fined by the organization and would have lost a lot more money and could have hurt his credibility. That makes no sense. Bro, do you understand the things that you're saying right now? Really, bro? No, that makes no sense. That really does not make no sense. So what you basically said, Skinny Kenny, that what you said is debunked. That does not make any sense. You want Pippen to lose more money by basically faking hurt every time? Bro, you would lose more money out of that. Bro, that's dumb. Makes no sense. All right? At the end of the day, Pippen knew what he was getting himself into when he signed the contract. He could have done the surgery on his foot after the 97 finals. He could have gotten healthy and ready to go before the start of the 97-98 season, and all this could have been avoided. Sure, you would have had to still, force the Bulls to basically pay you, but they weren't going to pay you for it. But listen, Pippen thought about himself than about the team, and Michael was right. Pippen was very selfish at that time. You guys know this. Everybody in the chat know this. All right? But I'd say this, though, too. I would say that Michael Jordan, relishes his taking the chance of being, being the lone guy in this. Because what the other episodes showed you was, Michael Jordan is an intense person in practice. He would push you guys. He would push his players to do everything right, because it's all about the ring at the end of the day. And literally, the big thing is this. Literally, Michael was going to do whatever it took to win. And he didn't care if you hurt your feelings. Just like what Bill Wennington says. He didn't care if you hurt your feelings. If you don't want to play hard, get out. That just is what it is. And basically, Michael Jordan was going to be in your face, cussing you out, and making you play hard. If you couldn't handle it, you can leave. That's basically what it is. But I also wanted to talk about the Dennis Rodman thing though too, because it featured in episodes 3 and 4 of the documentary. I gotta say for Dennis Rodman got a lot of favoritism and a lot of leniency during his time in Chicago. I mean, imagine imagine a team having to deal with some of the things that Dennis Rodman does off the court. All right, listen, Dennis Rodman, man, he got a lot of light touches in Chicago. To be honest with you, because when he was basically doing all those like flights to Vegas and basically partying and basically hanging out through all hours of the night, like man, bro, you wouldn't get away there in today's NBA. You couldn't because here's the thing. They would either find you or they would basically find you on social media with their camera phone and basically would have been posted all over the league. It would have made huge headlines. I gotta say, Dennis Rodman's got to be lucky that he's not playing in the era of social media because a lot of the things he was doing at the time would have made headlines on TMZ, on the debate shows, you name it, bro. Man, I'm telling you, bro, it's really amazing how Dennis Rodman could do all those crazy things outside of basketball, but then come back and still have the same focus and the same energy, to perform and play at his high level. Listen, there's no other player that's gonna match what Dennis Rodman did during that entire time. Okay, Dennis Rodman was basically leading the NBA in rebounding for like 7 straight seasons. All right. And basically, he was basically what, 6'8", 6'7", 6'8". Let me check Dennis Rodman real quick. Just got to make sure. Was he what? Dennis Rodman was, yeah, 6'7". And for him, you know, to basically, you know, sh- rebound the ball effectively, defend the post player, and basically, get in the heads of his opponents, bro. That would have been great. That was just great. That was just all great stuff by Dennis Rodman. He knew what he was doing. Listen, Dennis Rodman can be crazy, but he is very very smart at the things he does. Okay, look, the bottom line is this: Dennis Rodman is far superior than any other player of his time. Okay, you know what I mean? Look, Rodman was basically a crazy wild man, and if Rodman went up against Draymond Green right now, Rodman would have broke apart Draymond Green in the worst way, and it would not be pretty because Draymond Green, what we all know about Draymond is he's emotional and and he has a high temperament. That would have been feast time for Dennis Rodman because he would have known how to, basically rough him up, maybe touch him from behind, do all the little things off of the ball that referees don't see. And then Draymond Green gets mad and he would have fought him on the court. And then Draymond Green would have gotten ejected for it. All right. Because that Rodman was basically the mastermind of mind games, especially when he was playing for the bad boys. All right. He learned those tactics from the bad boys and applied it when he was playing with the Chicago Bulls. That's why Dennis Rodman was great at what he was. But he was a very smart basketball player that communicated very well with Michael Jordan. All right. And he was not a bad boy. All right. Sure, he had his, rebellious moments, but he was never really a bad person. He's really not that bad of a person, because he was a guy that didn't create problems to his teammates or anyone else. He was just basically a guy that's basically rebellious and basically lived his life the way he wants to. You know what I mean? Now there is some things about Rodman I don't like, but we're not going to get into that. But I'll tell you this though too. I'll tell you this: Dennis Rodman was basically the best rebounder and one of the best defensive power forwards of his time. Y'all, hold on one second. We're not talking about that right now. All right. There you go. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, Rodman was so successful at what he does. You know what I mean? And listen, Draymond Green would have been torn to pieces by, you know, by Rodman's antics. Listen, for any of these kids out there to say that Draymond Green is the equivalent of a Dennis Rodman, you're badly mistaken. I've never seen Draymond Green lead the league in rebounding. All right. He's only won one defensive player of the year, and that was basically basically a media creative award because listen, that award was belonged to Draymond to Kawhi Leonard. He was going to win his third straight. All right, and Draymond Green's not that even good a defender either. He's a good team defender, but if you say individual defender, the guy still gets roasted on. All right, he can't defend to save his life. You know what I mean? While Dennis Rodman, defended when he was at his peak in Detroit, he could defend all five positions. When he was in Chicago, he could defend the center and the power forward position. All right, and could still rebound like crazy. So yeah, at the end of the day, though, man, at the end of the day, Rodman deserves much more credit than he deserved than what he's been given to, and he's still the greatest rebounder in the history of the game. And quite frankly, bro, for anyone to put Draymond Green in that class, man, is absolutely ridiculous, though, bro. Absolutely bleeping ridiculous. And I'm glad that the documentary is shutting down that theory once and for all. Now, on Sunday, we're going to see episodes 5 and 6. Probably going to go into the Dream Team stuff, but also we're going to get into about the 98 All-Star game, with Kobe Bryant, that angle too. It's going to be emotional, though. I'll tell you that. It will be very, very emotional because, seeing Kobe Bryant play and basically the battle of the torch, you know what I mean? It's going to be intense when it continues on. You know what I mean? But stay tuned for that, though, guys. It's going to be an epic ride, though, bro. As we get to the home stretch, though, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bakari Gaines said that dude had the audacity to compare Draymond to Magic. I know, bro. I know. And yeah, that's right, LB. He said that Draymond campaigned for that award for 2 years. Oh, yeah, bro. We know. We know. He only got one award out of it. But listen, Draymond Green is no lockdown defender. I'm sorry. He can't defend somebody one-on-one. He literally can't. Because if y'all watch the 2019 finals, Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard took turns roasting Draymond Green's defense. He couldn't defend to save his life. Y'all know this. Everybody knows this. So that theory right there, kids, is debunked. That's all I'm going to tell you. But you know what, though, guys? I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for now, though, guys. I'm going to go ahead and let my throat take a break a little bit. But I'm going to jump into Ticket TV's live stream there. So y'all meet me up there, with Ticket TV. You know what I mean? But I'll be back next week. We're going to discuss about episodes 5 and 6 of The Last Dance, though, bro. We're nearly halfway there, guys. You know what I mean? Make sure to smash the like button on the way out, though, too. I will continue to drop more videos as the days goes on. So make sure to stay tuned for that, though. But I appreciate all the love and support, though, there, you guys. It was really, really fun. You know what I mean? But this is Abil Mehari, representing MehariNation Sports Podcast on Basketball Conversations. Much love to the entire LDBC, and have a good night, guys.